understand why they protest us. I understand why they hate us. Because the alt-right is disrupting business as usual.
We want something fundamentally new, the alt-right. We want identity in a way for the first time. White identity is heightened by the fact that we live in a multicultural world. We have a new, more intense, more powerful white identity precisely because we are under threat. You are cowardly trying to shut down a movement that is growing, that's going to stand up for white people, that, to be honest, is going to stand up for the oppressed. You know in your bones that the alt-right is the future. You know that white identity politics is ineluctable. You know that white identity politics is going to enter the world and that it is going to be a powerful force in the 21st century. That is why you are here.
The alt-right is about being a white person, being a European in the 21st century. That is what the alt-right is about. That is why we are dangerous. That is why these bureaucrats, these corporations, the government are attacking us. That is the reason. And that is what this movement is about.
We've been reactionaries, in the sense of we react to gay marriage, we react to more immigration, we react to the budget. We need to have a vision. The ideal I will put forward is the creation of a white ethno-state on the North American continent.
So my name is Kukwa Eshan. I was born in Brooklyn, New York. My parents are from Ghana, West Africa, so they came here. I have two siblings, two sisters, older, so I'm the youngest one. I went to Midwood High School in Brooklyn, and then I came here to college at SUNY Purchase. So I'm a senior creative writing major right now with a double minor in journalism and global Black studies. Well, if Richard Spencer came to college, to this college campus to give a talk as a white supremacist, I'd feel unsafe. There's a number of things that happen on this campus already that were threatening to Black students altogether. And I think that allowing a speaker such as Richard Spencer to come here and to voice his views in which he blatantly and explicitly, disrespects the hard works of Black people and people of color.
In terms of who defined the United States, it was never defined by Africans. It was defined by Anglo-Saxons, by white European.
It's disheartening. Hypothetically, if Richard Spencer would come here and speak and, students are welcome to join or students are not welcome to join or whatever, I just think that his views, when you hear the name Richard Spencer, you're just like white supremacist. The ideals of a white supremacist, and you know that white supremacists were rallying a couple of months ago, basically tormenting Black protesters. So I would feel personally unsafe. Inviting a conservative speaker to speak at Purchase College, and you don't agree with his views, share why you don't agree with his views, or question him or challenge him.
But when people ask me to go to college, I'm gonna tell you no. You wanna send your kids to college, I'm gonna say no, and here's why. Who do you gotta be around? Feminists, social justice warriors. It's fucking gross, dude.
You have to be fearless and you have to have courage because people are gonna hate your guts. And to do what I do for a living, you have to have a certain lack of inhibition, because if you had inhibitions, there's no way in the world you would do what I do, because it's pretty reckless. Right in this room, we have people who want to commit genocide against white people. So,
there's a campus group called the Columbia Republicans, and they were having this so-called free speech month.
Columbia University, considered one of the most diverse colleges in the country, will soon be the stage for controversial speaker, white nationalist Michael Cernovich. Cernovich has been quoted as saying diversity is code word for white genocide.
So I think that should kind of say something about who the man is. Cernovich, he has some controversial tweets where he doesn't really believe in date rape. These kind of people shouldn't be allowed to even have a voice on campus. because it doesn't only bring danger to the students on the campus, but the Harlem community as a whole. We decided we were going to protest against it, so we started speaking to students at Columbia, and we end up linking up with someone from Grant House Projects, and he told us that he would help us get some people to come out to the protest.
We're here today to tell Harlem that we have its back, to tell all of Harlem that no fascist white supremacists will come here and deliver a message without heavy opposition.
We had CUNY students from Hunter, we had students from NYU, we had people from the Harlem community, we had Black Lives Matter was there, we had Undoing Fascism there. You don't even pay attention to who's there, and I think that speaks volumes. It's not just students who were uncomfortable. There were people who walked from their homes. There were people who came from Grant Projects. A lot of us feel that Columbia doesn't even have a relationship with Harlem, and you're occupying this space in Harlem, so you do owe this community something. And how do you have a sense of community where people don't feel that they belong here? Like, that just speaks to the fact that there is no safe space. A safe space, technically, which many of us don't even believe there is one, is a space where you could be your holistic self. So if you're a person of color, you can be that person of color.
Hey Columbia, don't you know? White supremacy's got to go! Hey Columbia, don't you know?
So these protests, they are going to get larger. They're going to continue to happen. I see people feeling more empowered to actually do something and speak up against things that they feel aren't right.
Free speech, free speech, you don't practice what you preach. Free speech, free speech, you don't practice.
I see things getting better. Hopefully what we're fighting for, we don't give up on what we're doing, because we may not see it in our lifetime. Like my son, who's 3 years old, hopefully things will be better for his generation than it was for mine.
Campus rape culture is a preposterous lie. It is clearly nonsense. I don't hate lesbians, I just find them funny. I mean, they are funny. There's a section of the population that has massive obesity problems, huge domestic violence. They beat the shit out of each other all the time. They're miserable, they're inane, they don't do anything, they never smile, always going on their pleasure cruises. They come at you with knitting needles if you dare to suggest they should maybe put down the second slice. And it's a particular brand of modern lesbianic feminism, the man-hating feminism, the misandry that characterizes modern feminism. If somebody says that's really offensive, go fuck yourself. Go fuck yourself, I don't care. I don't care about it.
The enemy are in our country, and you're inviting more of them. You want more of them. You want them to have more power. You want to stop people's ability to criticize and speak up against them. When are you going to realise that? When will the politicians realise that? At no point should any of us, in any of our Western countries, and anywhere in Europe, be putting up with this backward jihad by barbarians that have been imported by our politicians. Imported and protected. And the people responsible for this, he's responsible, of course, but the people who are standing by them, who are protecting them, who are calling for more of them. There's a worldwide war going on. There's a jihad against us as non-Muslims, and they're here living with us. They're here. Fuck political correctness.
But we've got 3 million Muslims in America today. We've got places like Dearborn, Michigan, which are basically fifth columns for Islam. So it is here in America.
But the more we take women away from housewives and womanhood, and the more we put them in our shoes, the more we realize they're terrible fighters that really want to fight.
So for the last few years, I've been working on a research project dealing with the alt-right, and in particular, their propaganda. And I first got attracted to working on this kind of material because of the serious danger that I think that groups like this represent. Richard Spencer and other figures in that sort of milieu make this claim that they have this right to express themselves under the auspices of free speech, and in particular they target college campuses as these sites of learning. And they often make arguments along the lines of, well, this is supposed to be a place where we are open to new ideas, and so we should be able to come and express things that are uncomfortable or, perhaps a little unsettling to people. They are often choosing locations and particular college campuses with the explicit intent of causing some kind of confrontation. So the event itself is not really about what it's ostensibly about, right? So ostensibly they'll say, oh, I want to go to this college campus because I want to have an open debate. Now, first of all, very, very few of the times are they even asking for a debate in the sense of, why don't I stand up against some other kind of academic to have an argument? And the reason why is because that would be ludicrous, because they're not making any kind of academic or substantiated arguments. It's either pseudoscience or just conjecture or pure ideological kind of trains of thought.
You're really proud to be a bigot.
I'm proud to be a white man.
You're proud to, that's different from being proud to be a bigot.
If Africans had never existed, world history would be almost exactly the same as it is today.
They can make this claim of free speech in the sense that, again, that since the academy is supposed to be this open environment, we should be able to say whatever we want, or we have the freedom to say whatever we want. But most conditions under which we would usually consider free speech, we don't consider all speech under protected speech. There are many different times, there are many different circumstances, both constitutionally and even within the context of private institutions, in which we make these agreements that there are certain things that are limited, right? So dangerous speech or threatening speech. If I threaten you, that's not protected under free speech.
There's something explicitly white about challenging someone to a fair fight.
I think that it's important from an academic perspective, an intellectual perspective, and mostly a political perspective, to understand that there are certain kinds of ideologies, certain trains of thought that are non-negotiable. The basic respectability of human life should not be a controversial subject in this day and age in Western society. The thing that these neo-reactionaries are often opining about and waxing poetic about. Gavin McInnes has his own little group of young men called the Proud Boys, which are essentially this gang that he's been growing across the country over the last year, who now follow him to events when he goes to speak. And they call themselves Western chauvinists, and they make appeals all the time, say, well, we're not racist, we just think that white men, need a place in our society. They wear all black, and then they follow Gavin McInnes around when he goes to events, and they start fights with people.
Hey, motherfuckers, like you lie! Fuck you!
So when Gavin McInnes was coming to NYU campus earlier last year, he showed up with this gang of young men with him. They want violence.
Overall, it was a really fun night, and I cannot recommend violence enough. It is a really effective way to solve problems.
They want a war. They want to fundamentally change the makeup of this country, and the only way to do that, from their own political point of view, is through violent, destructive means. And I think the most dangerous thing we can do is sort of not take them at their word.